It's time. Winter has come. We must brace ourselves against the coming darkness. Prepare yourselves to make sacrifices and choices. Terrible, terrible choices. Some of us won't make it.
Kyle, it's spring.
It is?
Yeah. Oh, well, it is in Japan. In the cold north.
Aye, so it is. And you know what this means?
Dragons?
Zombie dragons.
Robot zombie dragons.
No! It is time for a new season of anime.
Ava launch!
Tetsuo! Kaneda!
Oni-chan?
It's over 9,000! Nani?
Configure the language logic interface for Japanese.
Kawaii-Fi.
Kawaii-Fi.
Kawaii-Fi Radio!
Konnichiwa and welcome to a new episode of Kawaii-Fi Radio, the podcast where we look into the world of anime and manga. I'm your host Kyle, and joining me are my annoying co-hosts Coco and Kenny. Put down the kazoo!
They're just so good.
Not
It's
gonna
such a
happen,
noble
Kyle.
instrument. I must spend all my time playing it.
Of course, Humans, of course.
Yes, after the feast of wonderful music we gave you in the last episode, thanks to some very talented people, we decided to tone things right down today.
Excuse me.
We brought
I
the
was-
most incredible instruments ever.
I was
Kazoos.
putting in effort.
You are musically inclined, Coco.
Yes.
So, of course you put in effort.
Of course.
But moving on from kazoos, let's
never
talk
will.
about anime, which is what we are here for. And firstly, let's kick off with revisions. Because we were talking about this during our review season. We thought, we're not sure where it was. We were about halfway through.
Really binged that.
We did. And I was quite pleased.
Yeah.
There was
great.
It was great. There was a lot to like. There was a very sort of Neon Genesis feel to the way the story was being told, with the way the characters were interacting.
He finally got less annoying as well.
Yes,
did.
there was some actual character development, and that was the one thing that was keeping me away from the series. I wanted to break that guy's head open under a car.
Please don't do that. That would see you in prison and unable to do anything else on this show.
He seems fine now by the end of it. There was a lot of time travel hijinks.
Which
but-
was really well executed, actually.
Yes.
They really did address how... They didn't do the parallel timelines. They just kind of used a singular timeline which could be affected and impacted by other things that happened in the past, which was pretty cool to see.
and rather an interesting kind of open end.
But you know what because I mean, you could technically do a sequel off that, which is pretty cool. But it also made us notice something about an anime which is started airing this season as well, which has a very similar premise of a city disappearing, just the other side of the story.
In a giant circular hole.
Yeah,
No less.
in the middle of Japan, in Tokyo.
Yeah,
none
I
less.
was thinking I wanted this to be sort of like an Avengers kind of a crossover event, different anime studios kind of combined together to make one big meta-narrative, but
It's really not.
If only.
If only. And we also need to talk about how Sword Art Online finished, because
Yes.
that was, I think, the last episode came out just after we went to air.
call that a finish. I call that a cliffhanger.
It's a cliffhanger. Now, Sword Art Online Alicization is 4 cores, meaning 4 seasons of 12 or more episodes that are is essentially being split right down the middle. So we'll have 24 episodes and another 25 episodes, which I think is due to come out in October this year. I will confirm that in the news because that's where I wrote it down. And they've left it on such a good, I feel like a really good cliffhanging point, because it's not like there's lots of different storylines waiting. There's just one big storyline that they've got to kind of clear up.
Yeah, but it was like, it was all announced in like the last 5-10 minutes of the show. It's just like all of this stuff that you've been spending episodes and episodes sort of decoding and all that kind of stuff, that's done. Now here's all this stuff dropped on you right now.
Yeah. I mean, they did a really good job of it.
Oh, it's
I was
fantastic.
very impressed. I'm looking forward to the second half and another 25 episodes, which is going to double this season of, well, the Alicization arc in itself doubles the entire length of the show. So and it really has took the quality up to another level, which is really
The
impressive.
fight choreography was
yeah.
really good.
And the lighting.
Yes, excellent.
Yeah, so we should probably talk about the show ahead because it's going to, apologies again, this might be a bit of a long one.
Might.
Generally, we have segments and stuff. We try to diversify what we have been looking at throughout the week. This time, we're just looking at the entire new season.
This is an information dump.
Also, if you are joining us for the first time on YouTube, which we are, we literally are launching this week our podcast onto YouTube. Welcome, like and subscribe, as every single other YouTuber says.
Press that little bell icon to keep yourselves
Hooray.
notified about
The thing that, is
You
everyone
get
goes
more
on about
kazoos.
bells. If you do, we will buy more kazoos.
Yep.
I don't know if
Do
we'll be able
they-
to play multiple kazoos at once, but we'll try.
Can
And
these things break?
it depends if I attack it with a hammer.
No, I won't let you.
But yes, ahead this episode, it's a new season filled with bizarre and unique animes, from returning favourites like One Punch Man and Attack on Titan to a surprisingly large amount of baseball. There's a lot to decode. But before we do that, let's go to the news.
Making headlines.
Really? Sort of. Anime news.
The live-action cast of Cowboy Bebop unveiled, and OVAs on the horizon. This is Kawaii-Fi Anime News. Netflix adaptation of groundbreaking anime Cowboy Bebop has announced most of the cast for the upcoming live-action remake. John Chou of Harold and Kumar fame and the recent Star Trek films will be portraying leading man Spike Spiegel, while Luke Cage's Season 2 actor Mustafa Shakir portraying his partner and the Bebop's captain Jet Black. Daniela Pinata from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and the vampire series The Originals will be taking on the role of Faye Valentine, with British actor Alex Hassel playing the role of Vicious. No actors have been cast for the parts of Ed, Julia or the Wonder Dog Ein at this stage. Staying with live-action adaptations, it seems like the long-awaited Hollywood version of Akira could begin filming the next half a year. That is, if Warner Bros. Hopes to take advantage of a California tax break. The California Film Commission says the Hollywood adaptation of Katsuhiro Otomo's manga will be shot entirely in California with a tax credit of $18.5 million, but only if the project begins production in the next 180 days. The adaptation has been in and out of development hell since 2008, and reports around the project in recent years are not much clearer. Some sources report Taika Waititi is on board to adapt the original mangas into 2 films, and while Waititi has not confirmed if he will be directing the project, Leonardo DiCaprio and Andrew Lazar have been attempting to get the project back on the agenda. At this stage, Warner Bros. Have yet to give them the green light. The website for Teasing Master Takaki-san has confirmed that Season 2 of the romantic middle school anime is in production, due for release in July. The series' original cast and crew have been confirmed as returning for the production, with additional animators joining the team. A 2-minute preview on Toho's YouTube channel shows Takagi teasing Nishikata about her changing classes as part of an April Fool's joke. Sword Art Online Alicization will return to TV screens in October this year, likely with another 24-episode run. Following the series' 24th episode, a teaser promoting the show's return was posted on the anime's official Twitter. The Alicization arc almost doubles the length of the SAO light novel series when it was released, and is expected to run for around 50 episodes. An all-new OVA is in the works for Mob Psycho 100 by Anime Studio One, though its initial announcement did cause some confusion. The announcement, made on April 1st, left fans wondering if the new animation was a hoax, with the studio quickly confirming its authenticity. An advanced screening for the special is planned for July 7th, but tickets for the event will require fans to enter a lottery by buying the series' upcoming Blu-ray release. Staying with OVAs, a new 10-minute special for One Punch Man will be bundled with the second season's Blu-ray and DVD release in Japan. The OVA, titled as #01, is the second special of the series, following a broadcast premiere commemorative special aired in Japan on April 2nd. While there are no words on whether the broadcast special will be released internationally, the new OVA will be shipped in Japan on August 27th. An anime adaptation of Kei Tome's Sing Yesterday for Me is in the works, according to this month's issue of Shueisha's Grand Jump. The coming-of-age story ran from 1997 to 2015, releasing 113 chapters, which were later bundled into 11 volumes. The story focuses on university graduate Riko Oizumi, who takes on a role at a convenience store after college. His days pass uneventfully until he runs into a woman with a pet crow and his former college girlfriend. A manga adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's The Call of Cthulhu is being produced in Kadokawa's monthly Comic Beam. The new series is latest in Gao Tanabe's adaptations of H.P. Lovecraft's works, which he began in 2009 with his adaptation of The Outsider. Tanabei's Lovecraftian stories, including At the Mountains of Madness, have been nominated for the Best Comic Awards at this year's Angoulême International Comics Festival. And in dub news, the English voice cast for the Promised Netherlands translation has been announced, with the first episode broadcast on April 13th. Voice actors Erica Mendez, Laura Stahl, and Ginny Tirado will be voicing Emma, Ray, and Norman respectively in the dub, while Laura Post voicing the orphanage mother, Isabella. And that's your anime news for the week ending April 14th, 2019. I could see you getting quite excited when I mentioned H.P. Lovecraft there, Kenny.
I'm a big fan of his classic works. The guy was crazy as it gets, but his horror universe was fascinating stuff.
It's become something of a pop culture icon now, Cthulhu, hasn't it?
Oh, totally has. Makes the entire mythos a little less scary when you see I, Cthulhu Tokyo on t-shirts.
Yeah, there's been some very odd ones, and I think it was the game Scribblenauts where you could summon Cthulhu, and that's, I think, where a lot of people learnt about it.
And I believe it was the Shoggoth in a game that preceded that one.
Yeah, it was too, wasn't it?
Which is a creature made of eyes, tentacles, and mouths. We're taking that off you after this.
We are. I know you are doing the
If I was a deep one.
Glub,
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 glub.
glub.
The HP, for those who are wondering what we're going on about, the HP Lovecraft Historical Society is a group which turns modern day musicals and songs into songs about Cthulhu. They've done the entire Fiddler on the Roof, and I believe Lawrence of Arabia, replacing all of it with HP Lovecraft content.
How could they do Lawrence of Arabia?
I don't know.
Oh
I just saw it there.
goodness.
I wonder if they've just put screaming in underneath the music. I mean, that could be it. But one of my favourite topics to talk about, Cowboy Bebop.
Oh my God, John Cho is going to be so good. Oh my God.
For Shiria. I mean, my
Yeah.
lordy.
All right. So we have to talk about them separately because they can't exist in the same universe because they're both too awesome.
But they're about to.
Oh my God. Seriously.
I remember talking about this when I first met you, Kyle.
Yeah.
How we were talking about like animes being adapted into like live action. Oh, this must have been 10 years ago.
10 years
or
ago
so.
at least, yeah.
And we were saying Keanu Reeves for Spike.
Yeah, but he's a bit too old now.
But
Mustafa Shakir.
Yeah, so if for those who don't know him, I think he played, what was it, Bushmaster in the second season of Luke Cage, and he is a phenomenal actor.
He really is.
he can bring drama to a villain role. It's fantastic.
Yeah, they did a really good job for casting the villains in Luke Cage.
I want to know who's going to be cast as Ein.
Yeah, well, it's going
who's
to be
it gonna be?
It's a question of whether or not they decide to put a voice actor underneath it and give it like a voice collar to give it a personality.
It's going to be one of the Queen's corgis. I know it.
Quite possibly. Ed is the big question on everyone's lips because in the series, Ed is kind of non-binary as far as the gender goes for like the first 6 episodes, and then you meet Ed's father and discover Ed is a girl. It's
very, very androgynous, and that sort of added to sort of like the unearthliness of their character.
It really did. And I'm sure you're excited, Coco, but Akira.
Yes. All right. So I'm very... I don't know. I feel really precious about Akira because I read the manga over and over and over again so many times, and then I saw the film, and then honestly, I just don't want them to mess it up. I don't. If Taika Waititi is there, I don't think they will. But
No,
honestly,
they won't for one simple reason: if he's there, he's a massive Akira fan. Has been trying to get involved with it ever since it was announced in like 2008.
But the only problem is that with these big Hollywood studios, they just see money.
Yeah.
That's all they see. And with regards to the artistic context behind it, like that's why I was thinking when you made that announcement, why not Hideaki Anno? Because Akira, like so many other post-war Japanese stories, is again an allegory of the bomb.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
And that's what I don't see Americans understanding it because they haven't lived, they were peppered with bombs, but they didn't get a massively,
Well, they weren't
years of...
nuked.
Yeah, they weren't nuked.
They haven't had something like that which has left a lasting impact. But, I mean, admittedly, there's the cultural difference, there's the storytelling difference.
So, look, I will go see it. I just really, I don't know, I'm just really protective around around it.
I understand completely.
They have to do it right. If they don't, then...
Well, I mean, the good news is that, at least Watiki, in the interview he did in 2018, he said he was not adapting the original film script. He was using the mangas directly to adapt, and that it would take at least 2 films. So
That's wonderful.
Which is the correct way to do it.
Because the manga is 6 books, and it took him 10 years to create. So I feel like, minimum 2 films, maybe 3.
Well, I'm under the impression that he's decided to do the first 3 books and then the second 3 books, because the end of the 3rd book.
There's a bit of time passes. Because that's the second. Yeah,
sort of second act of it.
Yeah,
but I'm sure we'll find out a lot more soon.
Yeah.
Well, we hope we'll hopefully hear in the next 180 days if it's started
exactly.
Production.
I am hoping that it will go well. I know that recently. Hollywood studios have started to display more of that they'll understand what the context is behind a story, and they'll sort of try to stay true to that rather than money.
Yes, it's them putting pride and passion into this sort of work. It reminds me a lot of how superhero movies started out. Nobody really took them seriously. They were campy and such.
Yeah.
But then they've been taken more seriously. I wonder if anime movies are going through that kind of a renaissance as well.
I really sincerely hope so, because there's some incredible stories that would translate very well into the 2.5 hour format. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But let's not ham on about this too much, because oh my god,
we've got a lot to get through.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
That's a lot of anime.
Oh, there's so many.
Spring anime.
Spring is here, Asaparing is here. Life is Skittles and life is beer. I think the loveliest time of the year is the spring. I do, don't you?
Of course you do.
I'm sorry, I just went into a kazoo.
Yes, and I had to mute your microphone.
Yeah, I had a bit of a frenzy. Yeah, sorry.
Just a bit of a kazoo frenzy.
I'll lay off it.
I'm going to have to... I'm getting the hammer.
These things are a terrifying investment, Kyle.
They absolutely are. You can probably hear underneath us a lovely song called Poisoning the Pigeons.
By an amazing man called Tom Lehrer.
And he's given everyone... He said, I don't care about copyright. Please use it.
Thank you, Tom Lehrer.
We love your work.
He was what was he like?
Mathematician, I believe.
And he's got a whole album of just dark...
There's the Masochism Tango is another one.
Yes.
There's another one that I can't think of right now.
He's from, the 1930s, 40s?
I think this was recorded in the 40s.
Yeah, and, it's this sort of statement during the...
It's wonderful. See, it's true. We haven't changed.
Lack of propriety and quite a variety of unpleasant names. But it's not against any religion to want to dispose of a pigeon.
God, I love him.
Sunday you'll see it. Why don't you come with me and we'll
poison the pigeons in the park. All right, enough with that.
We actually like pigeons. Well, I like pigeons.
Well, you like all Avarian varieties,
yes.
I believe.
They go great with mustard.
All right. So, spring anime season. There is a lot of anime. None of it is really standing out like we saw last season. There are a couple of notable ones to talk about, but it's not like last season or, well, to be honest, the July season, which is looking bombastically big, where you're going to see big names. Now, we do have a lot of short form animes this season. We have a lot of new series. We've got returning series. We have films.
Got a couple game adaptations too.
A lot of game adaptations.
And heaps about baseball. Is there something about baseball we don't understand?
Yes, because spring is the season of baseball.
Yes, I actually looked this up myself. I took a look at the top 20 baseball animes on Anime List. Thank you, animelist.com. We love your work.
Yes, we do.
And yeah, I discovered that the vast majority of animes based on baseball, say that 5 times fast, come out at the start of the spring season and at the start of the autumn season. There are a few that come out in summer and winter, but the vast majority are centered for this time of year, the start of baseball season. And it is huge in Japan.
Oh, of course.
Like there's a whole history behind it.
Well, we will come back to baseball anime at the end of the episode. But we should start with short form anime. And some of these are not for children, to put it bluntly. We'll start with Ao-chan Can't Study. It is they don't think it needs a rating. I'm saying it needs a 15+.
Because the alternate title for this, as I have decided, is The Return of Hapasai. I'm sure that
if you know, if
Hapasai
you've watched Ranma half or read it, you'll be aware of a tiny little old man called Hapasai who's a massive pervert.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He just wants panties. He wants to see ladies as they were made. And
well, anyway, the reason we're mentioning this is because the synopsis is when Al was in kindergarten, she smiled ear to ear as she told her classmates how her father, a best-selling erotic author, chose her name. A as in apple, and O as in... he is a short, tiny man who behaves very much like Hapasai.
And looks practically like him.
Yeah, I think it is definitely a callback. So 10 years later, that day still haunts her, and she studies with a single goal: to get into university and away from her father.
She has no youth to waste.
No youth to waste, and no time for boys. And until her classmate Kojima confesses his love, not her love.
King of the Normies, she calls him.
King of the Normies.
But he actually seems really nice.
He does.
I'm unsure if that King of the Normie thing is a translation error or something that has been put in by...
Yeah.
It's been lost in translation.
Me and Kenny were discussing this, and it's whether it is our Western adaptation going, when we translate that, the nearest equivalent in our language is King of the Normies.
Yeah.
But we've watched the first episode of it. It's from a manga. It only runs for 12 minutes. Don't know how many are going, but I've got to be honest, it was kind of funny.
We got a confession first episode.
Yeah.
Usually there's a lead up to it, you know. There's
normally
a lot of
they don't
glances.
confess.
Yeah, normally that doesn't happen, or they just come close to it. He out and out confessed, but like nothing. Yeah, she has some damage. Her dad has done
just a bit, and he's the father is interfering all throughout her life. So he's appearing outside of windows, holding signs and stuff like that.
A part of me wants to think that this is just a part of our psychosis, that the dad isn't actually there; she's just hallucinating
because she's so used to him impacting her life.
Exactly.
Maybe, yeah.
But we'll definitely keep our eyes out for this one. It airs on Saturdays at 2 a.m. in the morning in Japan. So we'll probably see that on Sundays or Saturday evenings on streaming services.
Airing at Saturday at 2:10, that's a bit of a strange time.
Yes.
How many people in Japan do you think are night owls like this? Do you think that the anime airing times sort of cater to these people?
I'm not sure, because if you have a look at the runtime for all and the airing time for almost all of the shows we're going to be talking about, they're very late at night.
Yeah.
And that has been a consistent thing with Japan's TV scheduling. The anime normally airs right throughout the night. Some air at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. And these are, I think even like last season, Shield Hero and Dororo were at ungodly hours.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
I mean,
insane.
you know, a lot of the people who watch this are young folks like us or students still in school.
They record it and then watch it later.
Very good.
Well, if we're to believe what all the people in mangas and anime say about watching their favorite anime late at night, they record it and watch it the next day.
Yeah.
So I feel like that might be a bit of a connection.
Fair enough.
But moving on from our Chan Can't Study, it's on Saturdays. You'll probably get it Saturday night, Sunday morning. There is now something to do with Amazing Strangers.
Yeah, Chou, Kadou, girl, 1 out of 6.
Yeah, so it's 1/6, as in like a sixth to 1 to 6 scale.
Maybe.
I believe so.
Yeah. That was interesting. The synopsis for this is Buida Haruto, a hardcore otaku with no interest in real ladies, only appreciates... Well, he used to only appreciate figurines from afar because he sort of figured that if he started getting into them, then he would just fill his entire house with figurines. However, when Nona, a character he loved from an anime called Girls Planetary Investigation, has a figure released, he purchases it. He dives right in, and that night, the figure somehow comes to life.
I don't know how I feel about this one.
Did he just wish really, really hard?
It feels like it, doesn't it? The episode starts with, I think, from her point of view.
Yes, it does. It's kind of like a Buzz Lightyear experience.
Yeah.
Like from Toy Story, you know, how he came into Andy's bedroom and he's like, right, well, this is uncharted territory. Everything is dangerous. I'm actually Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, she thinks she's still part of like a universe exploration thing. She has no idea that she is made of plastic and doll joints.
Well, I mean, this is fortunately doesn't have an Eki tag attached to it. It's just comedy and seinen. It's got the rating currently is not no rating. We'd say probably PG just because there are a couple of questionable little bits in there.
I don't know what to think of it so far.
Yeah,
I think it'll be more interesting when we see them sort of venturing out into the world and getting her impression of a giant society to her.
Yeah. It hasn't really captured me completely yet. I'm sort of sitting on the fence with it. I think the next episode will be very
make or break.
Telltale, but if the next episode isn't, then definitely by episode 3.
Yeah.
3-episode treatment.
Oh no, don't say that. What I do want to note is that it's by a new, I think they're a new studio called Studio Cat, and that stands for Artistic Creative Amusement Team.
Meow.
So, I think they're just going to be about making comedies, which would be great.
Cool.
So this airs Saturdays at 11 p.m. at night. Might be on streaming services on Sunday, for anyone that picks it up. Isekai Quartet. Kenny, I think I'll let you handle this one. It's... I'm quite excited, but it's mostly because of what they've done.
Yes, it's we've seen crossover animes a couple of times before. Studios like to do this sort of thing sometimes. But one day... a mysterious button appears in different anime worlds. Upon pressing it, the characters of those anime worlds are all sent to an alternative dimension, modern-day Japan, and now they're in school together.
Yes, there's a massive crossover with Konosubareshi, Overlord, ReZero, and Tanya the Evil.
What are they doing in a classroom?
Here's the thing. All of those are isekai animes. So they've literally finally got to go back to their own world.
So they've isekai'd the isekai people back to Japan.
Yes.
Subaru doesn't look too enthused, and I was thinking you should be happy considering all
everything that happens in ReZero.
Yeah, you should be happier than this because you have been put through a mangle.
Oh yeah.
Like physically, emotionally, you should be wanting to leave. You should be happy that you have left. But where have they left to?
Yeah, well, it's done by Studio Puyukai. I've never seen them before. It's a chibi format one. I think these guys are probably a smaller studio who kind of specialize in spin-offs.
Yeah, it's the change of animation makes all the different animes, as disparate as they look in their own universes, look kind of like they fit together, like they're supposed to be there.
The strangest thing is it's all the original voice cast from all these animes.
They look like Nendoroids.
Well, the girl that voices Megumin voices a character in each one of those series, so she's probably getting a lot of work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see where the series goes. I want to see all the different sort of characters interacting with each other, like all the side characters. I want to see Aqua having a chat with a couple of the others or something like that.
Well, the outro sequence had them singing together, like one of the girls from each of the animes, which is going to be interesting. Runtime goes for 12 minutes, airs on Wednesdays at 12:30 midnight. I'm not sure, and we've discussed this before, because Japan have a very different way of doing their time coding, where midnight to 1 o'clock is still considered, in this case, Wednesday. So you get to 11 p.m. Wednesday, 12 p.m. Wednesday, 12:30 Wednesday, and when it hits 1 o'clock, then it's Thursday.
Okay.
Trippy.
Yeah, which has really confused me. I don't know if that's a translation error or...
Did you mean Thursday?
Yes, that's what I meant. You can tell I haven't had enough caffeine. So that airs on Wednesdays, either morning or night. Runs for 12 minutes. It's a good laugh. It is a pure comedy gag little series, and I'm sure it's going to keep a lot of fans happy while we're waiting for new seasons of all 4 of those animes.
Yeah, check it out.
And then there's Joshi Kausei, which... This runs for 3 minutes.
This is strange.
I'll read the synopsis and try and explain this. Who needs dialogue when you're this cute? The beautiful but unlucky Momoko, the cool, collected Shibumi, and the refreshingly innocent... Innocent? I'm Sean Shunnery.
She's refreshingly
innocent Mayumi star in a silent manga. There's no speech or dialogue. So there's just pictures, sound effects, and 3 high school girls living their daily life. Now, I'd like to make a point here. We thought, okay, so there's going to be no dialogue or grunts or groans or anything like that. There's only grunts and groans. There's no dialogue.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's very strange.
One episode of a 3-minute short form is not enough to get a good first impression of this one, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know, with a lot of these, especially this early in the season, we don't know how long most of them are going to run. I'd say most of the short form are going to run for around 12 episodes. That tends to be the typical output for those. This one was adapted from a web manga. It's rated PG-13, slice of life, comedy, high school experience, and it airs on Saturdays at 11:15 p.m.
All right, Nobunaga-sensei no Osanazuma, which is Nobu's young bride. This looks great. I think it looks great.
I have a wheel to grind, and I will get to that after you said the synopsis.
Yes. So middle school teacher Nobunaga has always dreamed of a game-like situation. This guy's about 30, by the way, where he meets his future wife. All of a sudden, a girl appears out of thin air in front of him and proclaims herself as his wife. 14-year-old Chou appears to have come from the Sengoku era and mistakes Nobunaga for the Nobunaga Order, who's a daimyo. Way back in the day. Thus begins the age difference love comedy.
I feel like they could do more with this than they did in that first 7 minutes. And while it was funny, it absolutely reeks of someone's
personal self-insert.
Yeah.
I mean,
it does.
The young bride shows that she's not exactly a shrinking violet. She basically stands her ground against the main character, says that she won't believe him if she suspects that he's lying or something like that.
Yeah, and she doesn't want to believe that she's in the future, but obviously they've never left the room that she's appeared in.
Yes.
Well, they leave. She appears in a storehouse and unconscious, and they bring her inside, and then that's all she's seen of the world. That room. But it's PG. It's from a manga done by Studio 7, who are also doing Joshi Kausei and I think several other short forms this season, which we aren't even talking about. I don't know how Studio 7 has that much time, but I'm impressed. I'm
intrigued to see where it goes. I will be interested to see how this girl from the past reacts to a modern world. And
all I wanted someone to do was just to pull out a cell phone and lie it in front of her and see her react.
Oh, God. That terrifies her.
And you know what? I think that this series has a potentiality for a Hot Springs episode.
Oh, hands down, this is having an episode 6.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
No question asked there.
I'm surprised it wasn't an episode
Whether
1.
that counts for or against it, we shall see.
Would you call this a reverse isekai?
Kind of.
Reverse historical.
Yeah,
reverse historical, I'd say. But it airs Saturdays at 11:20 at the evening in Japan. Runs for about 7 minutes. This one,
Senryu Shoujo,
which is Senryu girl, is the English translation of it. I love.
Yeah, it's adorable, isn't it?
It is.
So Yukishiro Nanako is a cute, cheerful high school girl. They all seem to be cute and cheerful. With one peculiar trait. Instead of verbal communication, she writes Senryu, which is a type of haiku to communicate. She has a friend, an ex-delinquent Busujima Eiji, and they are the freshmen of the school's literature club. Even though Nanako doesn't talk, with the power of Senryu, the pair has no problem enjoying their fun school life through the tune of 575 syllables.
I was particularly impressed by how quick-witted this has been. We've only seen one episode, but
it's really well written, isn't it?
Very well written.
The character's trait is that she only communicates in haikus. So one might suspect that this could get old quickly.
And one might suspect this could be quite difficult, but they very quickly prove that's not the case.
Absolutely.
They seem to build on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they build on each previous haiku with another haiku.
I still, hands down, couldn't believe when they were doing haikus. It's like, write a haiku about spring. And it's like, oh, okay. And the guy writes one about spring. And then she literally writes the club president's bust and waist figures as a haiku. It's just like,
why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? It fit exactly to the 575 format.
Yes, she seems to be as socially awkward as it gets.
As Eiji. It's so sweet, their friendship. How everyone's so scared of him, and he's not actually scary. He's just lovely.
He's just got a creepy face.
Yeah, he does.
I'm really looking forward to see where this goes. It's from a 4-koma, which is, for those who don't know what a 4-koma is, it is a 4-panel manga where events play out within those 4 panels, and that's a self-contained story. So this, much like, which is what K-On! Was originally as well. So just because it's a 4-koma doesn't mean it can't be a good series. expect a lot of gags, a lot of silly moments, because every single 4-comer ends with a gag or silly moment at the end in the 4th panel, and expect it to make you laugh a lot. It is slice of life comedy school shonen. There is no rating on it, so good for all ages, and it runs for about 12 minutes on Saturdays at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yay, 2 a.m.
Okay. Let's talk about one of the stranger short forms.
Yeah.
Because I didn't learn anything from that first episode.
Me
at
either.
all.
Indeed.
I'm still out at sea.
Yatohame-chan's observation diary, or Yatohama-chan can...
Yatohame-chan Kansatsu Nikki.
Thank you. Slice of Life Comedy School Shonen 3-minute run. Also from a 4-coma. No rating required. Kaito Jin is a second-year high school student who moved to Aichi from Tokyo. He meets Monaka Yatogami, who has a heavy Nagoya dialect, and he learns about Nagoya through joining the photography club.
You know,
I didn't learn anything in that first episode.
Yeah, I feel like this is another instance of Japan trying to do me and educate, like they did last season with Dimension High School. I feel like it's kind of culturally specific. Yeah.
I learnt that I need to learn to speak Japanese to understand the jokes in this. It's like having a joke between, Southern American accents and Northern American, or like Eastern States Australian versus Western States.
Yeah, it feels
South or North French,
Yeah, it feels like there's in-jokes within in-jokes.
I
think it's
Japan
very local.
really do enjoy making puns, which don't translate very well on our end. So translators often try and find alternative puns which would work, which they very rarely hit the mark, but sometimes do manage it. That's airing on Thursdays at 7:53. Which is 7:53 p.m., which is surprisingly not that late for comparative to some of the others.
That's prime time.
It's prime time for 3 minutes.
Yeah, considering it runs for 3 minutes, that could comfortably fit between 2 programs.
Exactly. But we think it's about time we go and talk about what's heading to the big screen.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Yes, it's time to talk about all the movies coming out in Japan. And
they look wonderful.
There's a lot of interesting ones coming out this year.
Absolutely. The first one we looked up was one called Hakubo, which means twilight.
Which is also the name of the studio.
Oh.
The Twilight Studio.
A coincidence?
I think not.
Is this one of their first pieces of work?
Yes, it is.
It follows youths living in the now and present in Iwaki, Fukushima Prefecture, after the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami of March the 11th, 2011.
So that's after the Fukushima plant got shut down and they evacuated everyone.
See, there's so much of Japanese stories about survival. And how things change after something like this.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah, but apparently it's quite well written. It's a drama. It's not listed as a comedy or a suspense or anything like that, and you would expect considering the subject matter.
It looks beautiful. It is animated so beautifully from what I can see. Obviously I'm using that word too much. There's this lovely sound of the violin throughout because one of the main characters is carrying one on her back. And just the way that it was presented in the trailer, the way it was shot, the way it was framed up, just seemed to imply significance. Like there was nothing, it was just beautiful.
I think we'll have to look into this and see if, like, potentially the writers in the studio were from the same prefecture, where they've experienced that concern and danger.
A great amount of love has gone into this thing. I can tell just from looking at the pictures, the poster, the trailer.
It's very reminiscent production quality wise of Your Name from memory.
Exactly.
So
yes.
I think there'll be a lot to enjoy in it. It's just a question of whether it translates well to us, obviously, in the West. Also, Hibiki Euphonium Movie 3, which is Chikai no Final. It's not Chika Chika, unfortunately.
That's all I'm going to see from now on.
So
She's ruined me.
That would be a crossover.
A crossover to be reckoned with. So if you haven't watched Hibiki Euphonium, it's a series about a brass band, big band, in a school, and about them going into competitions and trying to go to the nationals and win to be the best brass group. I keep saying brass because they're a full orchestra, to be the best in the country.
And all the stress and drama that accompanies it therein.
And especially the interactions between, obviously, the different students. So you've got the students who are in their final year and feel like they should get preferential treatment. You've got the young students who some of them are better musicians than the elderly. Better than their senpais. And, there's a lot that is kind of hinted underneath within the interactions between a lot of the characters. But we haven't watched the first or second movie, which I'm not sure if they are recaps.
I looked into it, yes. The first 1 and 2 are indeed recaps of the series.
So this is either going to be the big finale or it is going to be something that leads on to the final season. It is from a light novel, the adaptation, and that's going to start hitting cinemas in Japan on April 19th. Should also mention that Hakubo, aka Twilight, airs in Japan on May 24th in their cinemas.
Yes. And for anyone who's also been in a band or been in an orchestra, you'll probably notice that the instruments have been animated very well, and
it's very accurate.
The brass is shiny. It's
shiny.
I used to play trombone.
Yeah.
Full disclosure. And I just love the way that it looks. It's just so colourful. It's just, it's wonderful.
It's got to feel familiar to you then.
Yeah, it does in a way.
All right. Moving on to Kaiju no Kodomo, or Children of the Sea. The synopsis is very flowery kind of language. So, yeah. One summer vacation, Ruka meets 2 boys, Umi and Sora, whose upbringing contains strange and wonderful secrets.
Wow, that's...
Drawn to their swimming, Ruka and the adults who know them are intertwined in a complex mesh. Meanwhile, an unexplained anomaly is occurring all over the world. Fish are disappearing. Thus begins a marine adventure of boys and girls to captivate the senses.
Are we going space fishing?
I would... Oh, don't go there.
I doubt it.
That was a weird anime.
Very weird.
There was some beautiful focused in shots of the whale and of its eye, which I thought was gorgeous.
Yes, well, the studio who did this is responsible for Steam Boy, if you guys remember that one.
Yeah, they also did the Animatrix.
Yes.
Which is like...
Which episodes from the Animatrix?
I don't know. They don't list it. They also did Spriggan and Detroit Metal City, which is quite a diverse range of stuff.
Yes.
I feel like this one is going to be kind of like a Girl Who Leapt Through Time kind of experience. It's very much that kind of a look. And I think it's going to have a very strong kind of environmental message underneath.
Yeah, quite possibly. It is adapted from a manga, and that airs in Japan starting June 7th. Kimito Nami ni Noritagara. I said that wrong. It's Noritara.
Kimito Nami ni Noritara.
It's because you're the expert and I'm not a cunning linguist. It translates as Ride Your Wave. It's PG-13, comedy, drama, romance, fantasy. It's by Science Saru Studio. They did Night is Short, Walk On Girl, and Devilman Crybaby. And this is a story which centers around a relationship between Hinako, who has moved to a coastal town upon entering university, and Minato, a young firefighter with a strong sense of justice. Hinako loves surfing, and while fearless on the sea, she's still uncertain about her future. Following a fire mishap in the town, the two encounter each other. As they spend more time surfing together, Hinako feels drawn to Minato, who dedicates himself to helping others.
So this synopsis is a bit different from what I saw in the preview. The preview seemed to tell, everything's happy. Oh, it's all sad.
Yeah.
No, it's not so sad anymore. So it's...
This had people disappearing in water and reappearing and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very... I mean, let's be honest. Night is Short, Walk On Girl is a very strange film. This is going to be a very strange film.
But it looks like there's a decent plot to hold the strangeness together.
I mean, well, that's the same as I say with Night is Short.
The intrigue.
Mm-hmm.
I think the strangeness and the unusual imagery will be metaphorical in a way. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it's going for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we do need to talk about another anime film, which is an adaptation from a series. And this is by the guys from Wit Studios. You might have heard of them. They've done, Attack on Titan.
Little things like that, yes.
And then in between that, what did they do?
Carbonari of the Iron Fortress.
Yeah.
If you guys saw that series, it's the same kind of action-packedness and despair of Attack on Titan.
Very fast moving.
Steampunk zombie survival in... I don't know, the 1600s?
On a train.
On a train.
On a big ironclad train with tank cannons.
It's I don't know where this came from, but my lord, is it good.
It's pretty good.
Fun and crazy.
Yeah, and Ikoma still looks angry and hectic.
Well,
which
he's
he
a
always
Studio
does.
Wit character, so...
Yeah.
So the
he
film,
has zero chill.
The film is called The Battle of Unato, and it's the first non-recap film of the series. So there's been 2 other films, and they are, once again, recap films covering the first part. This one is set after the end of the season, which aired in 2016, about, I think it's half a year after the anime ends.
Oh.
And it actually focuses on the character Mumai, which is the girl. And the official website for the anime lists the film as being the middle volume of the whole saga. And it's only going to be in cinemas for a limited 2-week run. We don't know much about the plot. We haven't got a proper synopsis. But that's going to be in cinemas May 10th. So if it gets a Western release, I'm sure we'll let you know.
Indeed.
Wonderful. We're looking forward to the next one, aren't
Oh,
we? Lupin the
yes.
Third. Mine
Lupin the Third.
Fujiko no Uso. Which translates to Fujiko Mine's lie.
Now, there wasn't much information on this till literally yesterday.
Yes, that's true. So I am... very, very happy to bring you the synopsis. The story follows Lupin femme fatale Fujiko Mine, who has run away with Geni, a boy who holds the proverbial key to $500 million that his father embezzled from a company. They are pursued by Binkam, an assassin who can manipulate people's hearts.
Which just sounds so weird. Now, if any of you have seen... I believe you guys have seen the trailer for this.
Yes.
I don't think
it didn't really
Binkam has
tell us
anything to
much.
do with hearts, unless it's manipulating whether they stop beating or not.
With a bullet.
With a bullet or sharp fingernails. Beautiful. And we're saying that about all these films, but this is the animation of this. When you've watched normal Lupin, it's already of quite a high level. And you watch this, the bump in animation quality is just jaw-dropping.
It's pretty good.
Especially when it comes to the colours that they do for people's hair, and if they've got anything where there's a colour transition, they just bump it up to another level. Now, this is the third of a series of films set in the Lupin universe, focus on all the side characters of Lupin. We've already had Doraemon and the
Samurai, yeah.
We've had the samurai and we've had the gunman, and now we've got Fujiko.
Oh. Sorry about that, ladies and gents.
Working our way around.
I just want to see Zenigata, the cop, get one as well.
Zenigata, yeah. He's awesome. He's one of my favourites.
So that's going to be, action, adventure, comedy, drama, seinen. Going to be, obviously, from a manga origin story. May 31st in cinemas. So next up is something by Studio Trigger.
That would be Promare. This is an original anime of Imaishi Hiroyuki and Nakashima Kazuki, famous for Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill. Those little-known animes.
Just little known.
The title was revealed by Studio Trigger at an anime expo just recently. This follows Gallo, a fresh recruit who uses mechas named Maototech.
That's about all we know. And I think our lead guy, Gallo, looks very similar to a certain other protagonist from a certain other anime they may have worked on at Trigger.
Similarly,
just
and you
bit.
know what I also noticed? It's hectic.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much going on. It's fast-paced. There are robots. There are people. They're yelling. They're having fun.
It's so
smash,
colourful.
Bang, crash.
If anime characters were real-life actors, this is literally the next job Kamina did. After Gurren Lagann. He's like,
after he
I think I'll
signed
go
off.
on and do... I've signed off, I've done my part in there, and this is the new one.
Yes,
Yeah.
I watched I watched shorts and trailers for this on YouTube, and I was blown away by its style. It's a very, very unique thing. It's ubiquitous of Kill la Kill and that sort of thing. It's like very much that. And then suddenly, hang on a second, that's Kamina.
And you look in the comments, and everyone's going, "That's Kamina."
Yes, every single basically comment was just saying, "Oh, what the hell is Aniki doing here? Why is Kamina here?
So
Did he die?"
It is an original story. Not very original, clearly.
We'll see, I guess. It airs on May 24th, 2019, and love to hear what everyone thinks.
Did Kamina get isekai'd?
I think he might have, yeah. Tagatame no Alchemist. Now,
this is action adventure magic
from
and fantasy.
a game, and I don't believe it's a big AAA blockbuster or anything like that. I believe it's another mobile game
A
adaptation.
mobile game.
There's a lot this season. Brace yourself.
I love our time. What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive.
So, the synopsis of this is that the Tower of Babel looms large over 7 nations. After the invention of alchemy led to its use as a tool of war that brought humanity to the brink of extinction, the 7 nations struck an uneasy peace that led to a prohibition on alchemy for hundreds of years. And that's still going on. In year 911...
That's a bit
Hold on.
Concerning.
The nation of Lustris broke the pact by assembling an army bolstered by alchemy with plans to conquer the continent, led by Envilia.
I don't know who Envilia
Who
is.
is a person, I think. The 6 nations struck down the rogue nation, casting alchemy once again to darkness. 20 years after the war, alchemy rises its head again.
Now, I have a thought about this. It could be good, because it's a very interesting plot story.
Yes.
However, the use of 9/11, as in 911, 911th year, feels a bit too much like they're trying to compare what happens at the Tower of Babel, which I'm suspecting is going to get knocked down, to the said events in the United States on the same day.
I don't want to draw that conclusion just yet. It could just be a terrible coincidence.
I really hope it is.
I guess we'll see.
You can ignore some numbers if you're not from the United States, because it probably wouldn't have affected you. But if you're one of our listeners in the US, this might be a bit close to home for you.
Yes. So just watch out for that one. It airs on June the 14th, 2019. So you've got some time. And yeah, that game Origin.
It's a bit of a question.
We'll have to wait and see.
I mean, we have seen some good game adaptations, but I find they're few and far between.
And I mean, if you just take a look at the trailer, it looks like it's going to be some action-packed fun. It looks like, I don't know, magical steampunk sword art online with giant magical robots.
Yeah.
So I dig it.
I dig it. It's pretty intense, we'll see. Now, Rascal does not dream of dreaming girl. Now, I came across the series that this is from, which is Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl, about a week and a half ago. I haven't watched any of it yet, but it looks pretty funny. It looks like your classic sort of high school comedy romance, bordering on harem. I'm not sure because I haven't watched it yet.
Featuring a bunny girl?
Yeah, it's... All right. My Sakurijima is a third-year high school student who gained fame in her youth as a child actress, but recently halted her career for unknown reasons to the public. With an air of unapproachability, she is well known throughout the school, but none dare interact with her. That is until our main protagonist, Sakuta, sees her wandering the library in a bunny girl outfit. Despite the get-up, no one seems to notice her, and after confronting her, he realizes that she is another victim of something they've dubbed puberty syndrome.
Is this Chunibyo?
I don't know. As Sakuta tries to help Mai through her predicament, his actions bring him into contact with more girls afflicted with the elusive disease. Now that I've heard you say Chunibyo, I'm suddenly feeling, after seeing everything, that this is definitely Chunibyo. Which is puberty syndrome, 6th grade syndrome. It's... people use it in different ways to explain it because there's no official term for it. But it does definitely have that sort of vibe to it. So this is the movie which is set after the end of that series,
so do you
which
reckon
follows
we'll
on.
Watch the series before we see the film?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So I think there's something like 16 light novels of it. Light novels 1 to 5 are covered in the season. This covers volume 6 and 7 in single outing. So that's in cinemas June 15 this year. PG-13, done by Cloverworks. Animation's quite beautiful, so I'm quite hopeful for this.
Yeah, it does look good. I just hope that the storyline is going to carry it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, it's time for the big one.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Well, it's time to delve into the deluge, the massive pond that is the new series this season. There are a lot.
There are, and Carol and Tuesday is our first. It's a sci-fi music drama romance.
And not only is it the first on the list, it's a standout.
Yes.
Maybe not because it's by Bones, but Bones Studio is definitely awesome.
Bones can do a lot of good stuff. They can also do a lot of questionable stuff, but they can do a lot of good stuff.
So 50 years have passed since mankind began migrating to the new frontier, Mars. It's an age where AI produces most culture and people are content to be passive consumers. But two girls who want to make music meet by chance. So
they have musicians on board for this, like professional musicians.
That's wonderful.
It's a completely original story, 24 episodes, and it's beautiful. Beautiful. I'm going to keep saying it. It's my word today. I'm sticking with it.
I think it's everyone's word today. It does look okay.
Okay. Oh.
I mean,
You wound me. I'm excited for this.
I couldn't make out much besides the visuals. I felt like the fact that they're on Mars is very, very interesting, but it's sort of focused in very quickly on the two characters in the trailer. So, I mean, like, I'm interested in it. I want to see more.
Well, we haven't had a chance to watch the first episode yet. I'm not even sure if it's dropped.
It was the music in the trailer which really drew me in. This sounds like it has some great talent behind it, some great heart put into it.
There's actually a lot of behind-the-scenes videos that they're posting on their Twitter of showing the cast creating and recording all the music for it.
Yeah,
cool.
I expect that this series will breed a lot more YouTube videos like the ones we showed off in our last production.
with a lot of the people doing their
covers.
covers.
I
of music.
expect so many covers from something like this.
So
I'm excited for it, and I really hope it does well.
That's airing on Thursdays. I think this is Thursday night.
At 5 minutes to 1 in the morning.
Yeah. Hooray, Japan.
Yeah, we're pretty sure
Pretty sure it's Thursday night.
But be aware of what we said earlier.
With the time difference, yeah.
Yeah.
Demon slaying.
This one I'm liking so far. We have watched the first episode. It's Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. And now its origin was in the manga.
Yeah, now this is very shonen. So its genres are listed action, history, demons, supernatural. And the studio that does it is UFO Table, which I hadn't heard of, but we've all probably seen something they've done. Because they did the Fate Zero series. They did God Eater, Tales of Symphonia, and many of the Tales series. And Katsugeki Tokan Ranbu, which was the one about the god swords. Literally anthropomorphized swords.
Yes,
that were time
I
traveling.
recall that one.
Yes. That I thought was pretty cool.
It's popped up quite a bit. So the whole deal with this, it's if you've watched, let's be honest, if you've seen Naruto, if you've seen pretty much any shonen anime from the past decade, you're going to feel very at home in this intro. Since ancient times, there have been rumors of man-eating demons lurking in the woods. Local townsfolk never venture outside at night, and legend says a demon slayer roams the night hunting down these bloodthirsty demons. For young Tanjiro, these rumors will soon become his harsh reality.
Such a beautifully animated show. So well done.
Movement. The animation of the movement when they're running is phenomenal.
And
it is just, wow.
I love the way that they speak with each other as well.
It's also, I have to go on about the snow. And I know everyone's just like, it's just some, white pixels. Nah, it was beautiful.
It looked soft.
And this one is hotly anticipated everywhere. It's widely advertised. I think it's this season's golden child for anime. It's
this season's Shield hero.
Yes, this one is. I'm sure it's bound to impress.
But the opening is done by as I mentioned before, my favorite Japanese singer, Lisa. It's epic.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Lisa.
So go figure.
And moving right along now to Fairy Gone.
Yes.
I've had my eyes on this since I just saw a piece of post art for it, and its style just gets me.
It's very cool looking.
The story takes place in a world where fairies possess and dwell in animals, giving them mysterious abilities. By removing the organs of a possessed animal and transplanting them into humans, fairies can be summoned as an alter ego and used as a weapon. Such individuals who use fairies as war tools were called fairy soldiers. Once the war was over and they had completed their roles, the soldiers lost their purpose, some beginning to work for the government, some joining the mafia, and some even became terrorists, and each chose their own way to live. 9 years have passed since the war. Maria is a new recruit of Dorothea, an organization which investigates and suppresses fairy-related crimes.
Which immediately you think this is going to be Magical Girl. It is not.
Oh, and it's so good that it's
It
not.
is not.
Oh, it's probably one of the most terrifying renditions of fairies I've ever seen.
It feels like it's... If you've watched Promised Neverland last season, it's very similar stylistically.
And the fairies are kind of similar as well to the Shinigami from Death Note.
Yeah.
Yes, actually. Well, a bit of both, I'd actually say. They have a very, very horror movie kind of a style to them. And I was a little reminded of Hellsing.
Actually, yeah, it does have quite that Hellsing vibe to it, doesn't it, in some points?
Yes, the battle animation, just the insane kind of bloodthirst of the fight scenes. And
there's a very good soundtrack for this as well, and very good audio design as well.
Oh, yes.
Because both musically and sound effect wise, because it's very clear, it's very precise. Everything feels like there's been a lot of thought put into where it places it.
And I love the world that this is set in. It's like a cold, dark, post kind of World War One-ish kind of environment.
There's a good use of contrasting lighting as well, and I think you and I were saying it's kind of like a dark version of Bacano as far as the style is concerned.
Yes, I found it sort of visually similar to that one. I know you guys haven't watched it yet, and I will get you to.
Yes.
But
definitely an option for a never seen episode.
Absolutely. But I'm really hoping this one goes well, and can't wait to see more.
Airs on Mondays, Tuesdays, Sundays at midnight.
Mondays at midnight. We'll assume that's Monday midnight.
Yes. This one.
Now you're very excited about this,
yes,
right? And you haven't even seen the original.
I've been wanting to watch the original for a long time, ever since I heard about the premise. This is Fruits Basket, and it is wonderful.
Hang on,
I love it.
I think I've heard of that anime before.
Just maybe.
Yeah, when did the original air? It was a while ago,
Fruits Basket originally aired from 2001. The manga didn't finish till 2006. So like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, this is apparently aimed at retelling the whole story instead of having to come up with an ending like they did with the original Full Metal Alchemist.
I love how... All right, so she's living in a tent and she's all good with it. She's independent. I mean, obviously she can't stay like that.
No,
forever.
obviously.
So very thankfully she's taken in, and just the looks on their faces when they transform, because she's...
We will post one of these on our Facebook page.
Oh
There's
my
this glorious
gosh.
look of awkwardness.
Oh my gosh. And I just want to know if the cat will go around with a spray bottle marking his areas, like on Red Dwarf. I want to know what the rooster's like, of course, as well.
So for those who haven't watched Fruits Basket, the original, or haven't heard of it in passing, it's a story that involves the Chinese zodiac, and it's after a family tragedy turns her life upside down. 16-year-old high schooler Toru Honda takes matters into her own hands and moves out into a tent. Unfortunately for her, she pitches her new home on private land belonging to the mysterious Soma clan, and it isn't long before the owners discover her. But as Toru quickly finds out when the family offers to take her in, the Somas have a secret of their own. When hugged by the opposite sex, they turn into animals of the Chinese zodiac. Now, it sounds like a very strange premise, but the original 2001 adaptation won Animag's Anime Grand Prix Award, and that's saying a lot, because that wasn't even with all the content available to them.
Wow.
And it's now a new studio producing this, which is being done through TMS Entertainment. The original was done by Studio Dean. So, plenty of... we know both of them are good quality. We don't know how many we're going to get.
So far, it's my favourite. I hope we get so many.
Yeah,
well, there will be at least 24 episodes. And they're going to run for 23 minutes each on Saturdays at 1:23 in the morning.
So we know it's a Saturday.
No. Oh, yes, we do. It's definitely Saturday morning.
This one actually kind of raised a pondersome thought of mine is, should we be excited at the prospect of older content being remade? I mean, that's sort of a...
I mean, we see it with films a lot these days, with reboots of
We
films
see
and
it an
series.
awful lot these days, and some people are a bit fatigued by the idea of just everything being remade, of no kind of original content in that respect. But I mean, obviously there is plenty of original content this season, but what do people think of the idea of like old classics being redone, given a new lick of shiny paint?
I think it depends on the series. Like, if you tried to redo Cowboy Bebop right now, I'd shoot you. Like, TV show in a different format, sure, but this...
I'd hand you the gun.
Yeah, like... But in this case, Fruits Basket was literally a seminal anime that set a precedence for animation, quality, sound, everything. and then they couldn't finish it the way the writer wanted to, and they've had to compromise, much like we saw with Fullmetal Alchemist as a prime example, and Hellsing.
Exactly,
as well.
yes.
And because of that, I'm really excited to see what they do with it, because we'll get to see the full story. And it's not a case, because the manga's finished, or at least it's meant to be, because when they've announced the new series, they've announced they're doing a quick short run of stories explaining some of the characters' background. So that's pretty cool.
We could see those feature in episodes.
We definitely could.
That'd be interesting. Next up, we have Gunjo no Magmel, or Magmel of the Blue Sea. One day in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Why am I getting all the ocean ones? Why don't you ever answer me, Ocean?
Man.
Ocean Man.
One day in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, a new continent appears out of nowhere. The continent is home to new and mysterious plants, creatures, monsters, and minerals. Humanity is excited as the age of exploration has returned.
I'm just seeing like pirate ships in my mind. I know it's not like that, but
the person that they're focusing in on in the trailer is just OP, and he didn't have to do that to the dodo. He didn't.
Of course, you care about the bird and none of the other animals he butchers.
Well, yeah, them too. But that was the first instance.
There's something worth noting. This is a manhwa, not a manga. It's a Chinese comic.
A manhwa?
A manhwa. It's being animated by Pero Plus. We don't know how many episodes it's going to go for, but based on how recently it started and it being a monthly manga, it's probably only going to be about 12 episodes.
And from what we've seen of it, it basically looks like it's shonen as all hell.
Did anyone get Sonya Blade vibes?
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think this is going to be one for me this season, but we'll give it a shot and see how it turns out.
That was the idea I got from it as well.
It just feels a little bit too generic. There's not enough information. And I mean, let's be honest, if we're going to talk about a new continent appearing in the middle of the ocean, we've got Made in the Abyss, we've got so many other animes that already do that. So why go back to that? I want to talk about Hotoboroshi no Marumaru Seikatsu.
Hitoribochi.
Just steal my thunder there, Kako. How dare you? All right, Hitori Bocchi's lifestyle. I'll inglaze it. This is a slice of life comedy school shonen 4-koma manga. It's done by C2C Studio, who did Harakuna Receive about 6 months ago. That was the Okinawa volleyball one, which was very beautifully animated but had very little content. And one of my most despised animes because of how stupidly long the title is, World End. AKA, what are you doing when the world ends? Are you busy? Will you save us? Are you here?
We tried that, didn't we?
I refuse. I'm sorry, if you make a title that long, you deserve to be ignored.
I don't think we even got through the first episode. It was just too cliched.
It was just a bit...
I mean, I've read the reviews online, and people say that you don't go into it looking for an action series. You go into it looking for a series which looks at, a big overarching story, trying to approach it from a different angle. The way it was promoted didn't give you any, suggestion that was the way to approach it. Yeah. That would be like telling someone. It'd be like showing Cowboy Bebop and doing a trailer for it, which just shows Jet cooking.
With iron.
With iron. That'd be it. You get completely the wrong idea about the anime going into it. But this one, anyway, is... I quite liked it. I really enjoyed that first episode. It's essentially about a girl with anxiety. So Hitori Bocchi suffers from extreme social anxiety. She's not good at talking to people, is surprisingly adept at avoiding people, and she will vomit when exposed to extreme tension. Now she is entering middle school, and her only friend, Yawara Kai, is attending a different school. This leaves Bocchi alone, surrounded by new classmates with whom she must make friends before Kai will talk to her again.
Dog act.
So I'm redubbing this as best friend abandoned socially anxious girl.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm thinking obviously her reasoning is gone into a bit.
Sound.
But the thing is, at that age, who is that mature to make that sort of informed emotional decision?
The writer. That's
and
it.
I was just thinking,
Not the character.
when I was that age, I just feel bad.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, this is an unachievable level of maturity. But I do feel that way about a lot of
kind of tossing her into the deep end.
This one's likely 12 episodes as well, considering it's based on 4-koma. 23-minute runtime, of course, and Saturday is at 2:25 a.m. in the morning.
I'm not so sure I'm taken with it. I feel like we mentioned Senryu Shoujo, the girl who speaks in haikus earlier. That one, I feel there is a lot of variety to her, even though it's just the one kind of personality trait. It's the one joke to her character. This one, I'm concerned it'll get a little repetitive.
Yeah, no, that'd be fair. I think we need to talk about I'm from Japan.
Yeah. So the synopsis of this one is that there's a new tough guy transfer student in Tokyo. His name is Tokyo. And he's raring to see how scrappy the locals are.
In Tokyo?
I think so.
Oh.
But when he comes face to face with a Japan-obsessed red-haired kid that won't leave him alone until he tells him exactly what prefecture he's from, his life takes a turn for the crazy. This kid isn't just Japan-obsessed. He's developed a martial art based on all the different prefectures in the country. So he has a lot of spare time.
Yeah.
I
immediately got Ranma 1/2 vibes from this. That's twice this season, and I don't know if that's a good thing.
Well, Ranma half is great.
It is.
Living up to it is not something everyone can do.
No.
I mean, the animation style is you've mentioned Ranma, but I think it differs from that crazily. It's like nothing I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely. But here's my big concern with this one. The studio who does it is called Odd Job. I've had a look at their back catalogue. There's not much and nothing good.
Oh dear.
So
do we know what the no good ones are? Have we got?
No, they are bordering on Crayon Shin-chan drawing style,
okay,
which has me very concerned for how the animation budget will hold up for this one, or whether they'll have to step into Neon Genesis territory for the last 3 episodes and just do very strange pictures on screen. It's slice of life comedy shonen. It's going to be martial arts. It's from a manga. We don't know how many episodes, but based on the amount of manga that has been released, and it's not based on a light novel, likely 12. And that's on Mondays at 7 a.m.
I'm not sure this will linger on our lists for too long.
I don't think it will either.
No.
Now, I think we need to talk about probably the strangest isekai I've ever heard a synopsis for. And Kenny, I think I'll get you to read it because only you could make sense of this.
I could try. And so... A young man who has surely died in an accident was reborn in another world as a baby.
So he's died and he's just been reborn.
Yes, reincarnated from...
But I'm guessing we're not going to talk about that.
From square one. No, because after that, he was picked up by the Patriot Hero sage, Merlin Wolford, and has the name given to him, Shin. He was raised as a grandson by Merlin and soaked up Merlin's teaching, earning him some shocking powers. However, when he becomes 15, his grandfather Merlin says, "I forgot to teach you common sense."
So if anyone was unclear, Merlin is a wizard.
No.
He's a what?
And he's teaching him magics.
Oh. Well,
see,
I don't understand why did they bother with the isekai format? They could have just went straight with
because isekais are totally in right now. I don't know. Yeah, they didn't have to even touch on.
It feels so unnecessary.
Maybe it'll play a pivotal part in a future part of the story, but yeah, it's so he starts at square one and hasn't been taught common sense. So this tells me that he retains none of the information he had as an adult in that other world.
Which means why make it an isekai?
Exactly.
So it's a very strange isekai, which makes you wonder if it even is an isekai.
Yeah.
But then there's the whole story about, a young man being raised by a wizard, learning to have powers, but it's not really being taught to be street smart.
Now, I do have high hopes for this for 2 reasons. One, just like Shield Hero, this is another manga which pops up on my manga reading app quite frequently as a suggested read for me.
Oh.
So it might be right up my alley. The second reason is the studio behind it, which is Silverlink. Now, Silverlink have some rubbish ones, but they also did Kokoro Connect, Bucket Test, Masamunikan's Revenge, and Non Non Biyori. All of those have, I wouldn't say outstanding animation, but
decent.
consistent quality throughout the whole show. And for something like this, that's what you want when there's going to be action, comedy, magic, adventure, and fantasy stuff. You want to make sure that they can handle anything that's thrown at them. So that's probably a good thing. It's originally from a light novel. Light novel turned into manga, obviously, for the manga version. And it airs on Wednesdays at 11:30 p.m.
Wonderful. So, Kono Oto Tomomari, aka Stop This Sound.
It's a music anime.
Yes, it is. It is done by Platinum Vision Studio. which has only been going for a few years.
Yeah.
Origin was in manga. The synopsis of this is that since the graduation of the senior members of the club, Takezo ends up being the sole member of the koto, which is a traditional Japanese string instrument club. Now that the new school year has begun, Takezo will have to seek out new members for the club, or it'll be terminated. And out of nowhere, a new member barges into the near-abandoned club room, demanding to join. Will Takezo be able to keep his club alive and deal with this rascal of a new member? Find out more.
Next episode.
On Sundays at 1 o'clock.
Now...
I'm not sure what to make of this.
With music animes, it can be hit or miss. Like, you can see phenomenally good ones like K-On! And Beck, Mongolian Chop Squad, Kids on the Slope. They all can do really good ones, and then there can be ones which completely miss the mark because they forget about the music and then they focus on, fan service.
Yes. Hopefully that won't go this way.
It's a shonen manga, so it likely won't.
Yeah.
The origin. It's music drama school, doesn't have eki tags or anything on it, but Platinum Vision, completely new studio in 2016, haven't really done anything big. They've done kind of like OVAs and stuff here and there. So
this could be a big break for them.
It could be. But this already has a second season locked in.
Oh.
And that's for, I believe, October as well.
It's ambitious. It kind of makes me think it's like a traditional instrument kind of, K-On! Sort of thing.
Yeah, with Platinum, this is only their fourth series of shows, and their previous ones, it's been like one show and then an OVA or a movie, like one season and an OVA movie. So it'd be interesting to see them attempt something a bit longer.
So speaking of classical subjects, Kyle, what's this next one?
You know? I refuse. Kono yo no hate de koi wo utao shoujo you know.
Now, sorry, I don't think I heard that right. Could you please repeat that?
No.
Sorry.
I'm just calling it you know from here on out because once again, it's an anime with a stupidly long title which probably could have been explained in fewer words. This is clearly my journalism side coming out here. It's drama, sci-fi, PG-13, done by Feel, the studio, who are responsible for Dagashi Kashi, Hinamatsuri, Island, Tsukigai Kirai, i.e. As the Moon So Beautiful. 26 episodes locked in for it.
Wonderful.
It's from a visual novel, i.e. a game.
Oh.
Yeah. So, there has been a lot of discussion online on whether this is any good. A lot of people went into this with high hopes, and I think it let them down. I think if you don't go in with too high a hope, it might be all right.
The premise does sound pretty cool.
And the translation is, a girl who chants love at the bound of this world.
Yeah. What's the synopsis?
So it's Takuya Irema is a young student whose father, a historian who has conducted various research experiments, disappears without a trace. During a summer vacation, Takuya receives a peculiar package from his missing father, along with a letter containing information about the existence of various parallel worlds. Sounds pretty good so far, right?
Interesting.
At first, Takuya doesn't take it seriously and soon realizes that he possesses a device that now allows him to travel to alternate dimensions. So is his father alive at all? And if so, where is he?
And from the trailer, I didn't get a lot of this.
That's the concern.
Coming through.
That's the concern. So it is listed as drama, and I'm wondering if they're focusing too much on the drama and not enough on actually integrating the time travel component, dimension jumping component of this. It's originally was released as a 4-part OVA in 1998 and 1999.
Okay.
And it was a hentai.
Oh,
this isn't
really?
But that confuses the Bajibari anime. So Studio Feel can do good work, but they are also known for pumping out eki content.
How would you turn this into?
I don't know.
How would you get
I don't
this?
know.
I don't want to think about it.
No, let's not.
It is PG-13, and that's confirmed by them. So we know it's not tracing the same thing it did before, but I'm confused. I don't know how you're going to adapt this from that to another.
I don't think I'll have any expectations going into it, but I also don't think I'm going to really watch it immediately. There's a lot of
there's a lot of other stuff to get through, especially actually the next one, which I'm pretty sure, Kenny, you were really enjoying that first episode.
Yeah, it's rather an intriguing kind of a thing, isn't it?
The only thing I could think of when I saw the trailer was Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I got that vibe too.
Now, this is Mayonaka no Occult Komuin, or Midnight Occult Civil Servants. Miyako Arata is newly assigned to the Shinjuku Ward Office Nighttime Regional Relations Department. kind of a mouthful to have on a resume. Yeah. Each of Tokyo's 23 wards has one such department established to mitigate paranormal and occult-related activity. Arata's special skill is in understanding non-human speech, and the story begins with him encountering yokai at Shinjuku Goen Park.
And I got to be honest, very cool design for a lot of these.
Yeah, I've always been drawn to the whole idea of the modern fantasy. It's modern technology and culture and sensibilities meeting the archaic, the mystical, and the very, very weird. This anime seems to fit in nicely with that
bang
whole
on
thing.
the bunny. So it's mystery, demons, supernatural fantasy shoujo, and it's made by Liden Films, who some might know from Arslan Senkai, Akashic Records, and 2016 Berserk, and Terraformers.
I remember that. That was weird.
Very weird.
I enjoyed this. I want to see where it goes.
I do
it wasn't
too.
like the most standout, but I do want to see how it develops.
It had a strong enough plot and tone that it made me go, I want to actually see where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, unlike some others, it's not so much. And that's my opinion on the next one, which I know you two think is going to be hilarious.
Yes.
And I refuse to agree on that point completely and utterly.
Yes. Namu Amida Butsu Rendai Tina, which is from a game and...
Pardon your French.
The synopsis is, the pain everyone cannot escape when living. The living, old, sick, and death. The way to save it is through Buddhist enlightenment. At the end of a war, a prince who obtained the Buddhist enlightenment became the Shaka Nyorai and saved the world. Meanwhile, a team centering around Shaka, called the 13 Buddhas, and the two benevolent deities who protect the Dharma, Taishukaten and Bonten, have stood up to fight against Mara. Who's Mara? To protect people from worries. A battle between Mara and the Buddhist gods that involves people begins now.
Now,
You wonder who Mara is? I don't care. I had to cut 4 paragraphs from this blimmin' synopsis.
yeah, that's the thing.
Really?
This synopsis, I think it actually comes from one of the games because what we saw in the trailers did not match what we saw at all.
The trailer looks
My brain
hilarious. It looks hilarious. It's all these guys and they're like they're just so pretty.
Yeah, they
I'm more interested in the studio than this series. Ashi Productions is the name of the studio. They're known for Vampire Hunter D, Macross, Original Ultraman.
Oh.
They actually were previously known as Production Reed, and then before that they were known as Ashi Productions. They date back to 1975.
Oh, wow.
And their most famous production is Magical Princess Minky Momo, a magical girl anime started in 82 and has been credited as pretty much one of the originators of the lolicon subculture.
Oh.
Yeah. It was aimed at children, that show. And all of the writers and artists were really freaked out when they found out adult men were watching it. For very good reason.
Sort of what happened to something over here not long ago, the pony, My Little Pony.
Yeah. The thing is Minky Momo has some seriously weird history, such as the studio killing off the main character in episode in response to a toy company dropping their sponsorship of the show.
Oh my god, that's terrifying.
Momo gets hit by a truck filled with the toy company's toys and
Oh
dies.
my god, I want to see this.
She's then resurrected the next episode as if nothing has happened. Very pretty clear message there, yeah?
Oh my
this
goodness.
This episode later inspired a Japanese urban legend linking the series to natural disasters. Wow. There is more and more, and I think we're going to have to watch this and do an episode on it because it's bonkers.
Okay.
This
Now,
could be a piece of history.
I know I've gone completely out of the left field from this Buddhist anime, but when I was reading up on it, I found that, and I was just like, oh, I need to mention that.
No, man.
That's
Considering what we've
crazy.
actually seen of this series, I think left field is exactly what's to be expected of everything involving this anime and this company.
Absolutely.
Now that you've told us this story, I kind of want to see what they've got.
Everyone has to see this trailer, and they have to recognize that Hiroshi Tanahashi would be very jealous. If anyone needs to find out who this man is, look him up or look up NJPW. His hair is magnificent.
He's a wrestler in
Yes,
Japan.
that's the thing. The synopsis tells a very, very bleak, a very serious kind of story. You're thinking this is going to be gods and deities fighting.
Look serious.
No, this is like boy bands with crazy god hair being confused by rice cookers and washing machines. and just sort of
That reminds me of...
and just sort of sitting around, chilling out.
It reminds me of that special episode they had for Magic Index where it was all the nuns, they get a washing machine and don't know how to use it. It's just like, oh, okay, fair enough. I think we're going to move on from there to one I'm quite excited about, which is Robi Hachi. Robi Hachi is a original content. It's been done by Studio Comet, who did School Rumble, Initial D, and had absolutely no connection to Cowboy Bebop or Space Dandy. Except I look at this and I go, that is Space Dandy.
And Cowboy Bebop.
And Cowboy Bebop in a nice, lovely, colourful mesh.
Yeah.
So the year is GC 51, marking half a century since first contact was made with aliens, and humans have since obtained faster than light travel and, have gone into the universe and joined the Commonwealth of Planets, yada, yada, yada. In Neo Tokyo, because New Tokyo is cooler than Old Tokyo, a streak of bad luck is continuing for Robbie Yarg. He fails at work, so he loses his contract. His girlfriend leaves him, he nearly dies in a traffic accident, and debt collectors are coming after him. And one day, a bag snatcher steals his bag, which has got money in it, which he's planning to use for another harebrained scheme. He's then this bag saved by Hachi Kita, who's an 18-year-old part-time worker who's like a super intelligent person. He's like graduated university at like 15 and all that. He's a genius. Super intelligent person, real smart guy. And it turns out that, so obviously he offers him his gratitude, buys him a meal in return. They part ways, realizing they've got nothing in common. And then Hachi turns up on his door as a debt collector.
Yeah.
Hijinks ensue. Robbie manages to elude Hachi and escape into space because it turns out his house is actually an old spaceship.
Blends in perfectly with the skyline.
And then the loan sharks pursue them into orbit.
It's so funny because the relationship that these two guys have is hilarious.
It's broken.
It's so funny.
It's kind of an odd couple, kind of a comedy, but
there are fourth wall breaks in the first episode. That end of that first episode, I don't know what to think, because you go from a guy who's struggling in the city to Gurren Lagann last 5 episodes level of madness.
Yes, he is piloting just the dandiest of Voltrons.
Yeah, exactly. I do have to note that there were some alien species that look very specifically like a certain Pixar animated features aliens from a grabber claw. Pixar probably going to sue. It's got a very strong Cowboy Bebop and Space Dandy vibe, but it is very much its own style. I won't say what it is, but those last 4 minutes of the first episode are just amazingly stupid. I did not know I wanted that, and even the characters comment on how on earth this could have happened, and I didn't realize we were in that type of anime.
Look out for the line, "Why am I in the bottom half?"
Yeah, that's a good point. It airs on Mondays at 11:30 at night, and watch it. If you like Space Dandy, my lordy, you will enjoy this. Even if you thought Space Dandy might have gone a little bit too far on you, but you enjoyed other sort of outlandish comedies, this will hit the spot for you.
That airs on Mondays at 11:30 p.m.
Now we should talk about what I technically think is the other half of Revisions.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
what's happening while
Toshi.
while that city disappeared?
So even though it's called Shamitsu Toshi, it's being promoted in Western countries and even in Japan as After Lost. That's AFTERLOST as a single word. This is done by Madhouse. Now, for those who know Madhouse, this is a reason to be excited, because Madhouse have created some of the most phenomenal animes of the past decade. One Punch Man, Death Note, Death Parade, Overlord, Black Lagoon, Trigun.
Oh, Black Lagoon.
That's just to name a few. I gave myself one line for animations that are related to studios, and that was just from the...
So what's the synopsis?
One day, a city suddenly disappears. Takuya, a professional by the contract courier and lone wolf, meets Yuki, the only survivor from that city's extinction, and the two rely on a message from Yuki's father, who is heard to be missing, and head towards the disappeared area of the city called Lost. There's a giant circular hole in the ground that's just black. It really kind of gave me a Neon Genesis vibe, and I'll explain that in a moment. However, unexpected obstacles strike before the pair, with the reality especially shocking for Yuki. Before them are the feelings of those left behind, a mysterious group manipulating the community in the shadows, and hidden conspiracy theory. So Takuya and Yuki, who are both initially strangers, deepen their bonds during the journey and unravel the mystery of the lost city. Now, it's left, like we watched the first episode. I'm really intrigued.
Yeah, it just got better and better, didn't it?
It really did. I mean, it's got sufficient DACA. I actually dubbed it DACA Rally.
Yeah, so guy summons like infinite amounts of guns which just shoot as he psychically floats them in the air.
Yeah,
and
and
just
we're just sitting there going DACA, 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 DACA.
he has all the DACA.
I was concerned because there were a lot of people online already slamming this, even before the first episode aired. So I'm not sure why there is a connection there, but it is based off a game. So maybe they've played the game through and realised that there's something wrong with the plot.
Okay, so maybe we need to just keep watching.
Yeah. So this has got really fluid animation. Characters are interesting so far, and there's even a betrayal in the first episode. And the setup for episode 2 leaves a lot of questions open already in a good way.
It does.
I'm really interested to see where it goes, but I couldn't get past the point that some of the lines the main character's saying in episode 1 just remind me of the film The Transporter. And it's like someone's got the transporter and a scientific railgun or index and shoved them together.
His character was very similar to that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just like, I'm just a delivery guy. I'm here to deliver you.
Exactly. But it's the Lost City area also harkens back to episode 16 of Neon Genesis. So for those who haven't seen the trailer or anything, the city's been replaced with a big sort of black miasma on the ground. A big circle of black miasma. And in episode 16 of Neon Genesis, the angel, the big evil enemy called Lalail, which is the 12th angel, creates a pocket dimension called a Dirac Sea, which is it's basically like a nanomillimeter thin dimension that's in a pocket, and it appears black, and you can sink into it and disappear into this pocket dimension. And it gives me that sort of vibe to it. And a Dirac Sea is actually a physics equation based off Einstein. Some of Einstein's work.
Awesome.
So it's actually a real thing. It's not something they've made up for anime.
I was getting Akira vibes as well because as they, especially at the beginning of the film and the books, how they're heading straight towards the old city where the explosion happened.
It's also funny how this is the complete polar opposite of what happened in Revisions.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's the same. It's a circular hole.
Yeah,
and everyth's gone,
and nobody knows why.
No.
And everyone's freaking out. We'll move on from that. Let's talk about Fox Girls, because that's
why
a thing this season.
not?
That's the thing.
Thank you,
I'll let you
Japan.
handle this.
All right, Sewayaki Kitsune no Senko-san is the origin is a web manga.
Yeah.
And studio is Doga Kobo, who've also done Himoto, Umaru-chan, Yuri Yuri, and New Game.
All of which are quite well animated.
Yeah. The synopsis is the everyday life of Nakano, a salaryman working for an exploitative company, is suddenly intruded upon by a fox, Senko-san, who's 800 years old. And whether it be cooking, cleaning, or special service, this 800-year-old little girl will heal his exhaustion.
Now, but based on the fact that it doesn't have any age restrictions on it, I'm thinking special service just means like looking after him, putting him to bed.
That's what it seemed like. It seemed stuff, quite innocent from what I saw.
Let's hope so.
I think this is going to be one of the ones that I want to watch, but just like the Fox Girl Onsen series, I won't get around to it.
Yeah.
Like, it looks cute, but I don't think I can justify spending time on it.
Konohaki Titania.
Yeah.
But
we'll see. And then, of course, there is the final new anime that we're going to talk about, which is We Never Learn, Bokuben. And this...
How else do they learn?
I'm looking forward to this.
Yes.
We've watched the first episode literally last night. The three of us got together and watched it.
It's really good.
I was expecting rubbish.
I was kind of expecting harem junk as well, but...
there is definitely that harem and romance junk edit to it, but it is also very funny.
Yes.
So this is done by Silver and Arvo Animation, two separate studios working together on it. It's a manga. We don't know how long it's going to run for, episode-wise, but it airs on Sunday night, technically, at midnight. And basically, third-year high school student Naruyuki Uiga has dedicated himself to becoming a high-achieving student in school. And despite his history of poor grades, he plans to get the ultimate goal of the VIP nomination, which gets him a prestigious scholarship covering all future university fees. And he's constantly overshadowed by his classmates, Rizu Ogata and Fumino Furuhashi. They're both amazing at mathematics and literature, respectively.
Yeah.
Turns out they want to be good in the other subject.
And they're really hopeless at it.
Yes. So he receives the nomination with the catch that he has to tutor the two star classmates who are hopelessly mediocre at each other's subject of expertise.
Yeah, and he starts doing really well for them.
Now, we thought this was just going to be pretty silly, straight out the front door with hijinks and all that. And while there is hijinks, it doesn't feel like it overpowers the plot.
Yeah, there's heart to it, isn't there? Especially with his family.
Yeah.
And the characters, they feel charming enough. They feel flawed and just sort of sweet.
Yeah.
It's not just overdone. They're not cliches. They're nice.
Yeah, which is surprising for this sort of genre. So watch this space. I'm sure we'll have some thoughts on that later in the season when we get to the end. But I think we should talk about everything that's hanging around or has returned.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
And we do have, I think it ends up being about 4 shows which are bringing out second seasons or third seasons in some cases this time around. Bakumatsu Crisis is one we'll start with. It's done by Studio Deem, aka the guys that did Konosuba, Log Horizon, Sakamoto Desuga. Airs on Fridays at 1:58.
Very specific,
time.
isn't it? Yeah.
Another one from a game.
We don't know how many episodes it'll have either, do we?
No, we don't. All we know is that it is set in an era in which the souls of young men burned with anxiety for their country's future.
Pretty sure that's every era.
Yeah, it's the Bakumatsu era, apparently, which I don't actually think is a proper era from what I've had a look. We'll probably Google that. But it focuses on Takasugi Shinsaku, who's a soldier of fortune from Chou. He sneaks aboard a government ship with his comrade Katsura Kogoru in search of a mysterious object with the power to manipulate time. Obviously, they don't want the government to have it. So rather than allow such power to fall into the wrong hands, they plan to destroy the artifact, but it's quickly stolen from them and forcing the pair to return to follow the mysterious thief, I should say, to Kyoto, which has become absolutely nuts.
And Kyoto is the capital at this point.
It is. And they arrive in the capital and discover that the government has been overthrown and the deity Susanoo now reigns in its place.
Does it have a gravity-defying string or ribbon?
I think Susanoo might be a bit more demonic in this incarnation.
Maybe a chain.
Maybe a gravity-defying chain for his incredible pectoral muscles. This is the second season. Bakumatsu, without the word crisis, was the original series. I haven't watched it. I haven't caught it. There's also like a couple of other spin-offs from it, so it's clearly doing well.
Yes.
So it might be worth checking out if this is your kind of thing. It is a historical samurai action series, and
there's always a market for that.
There's always a market for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could do worse.
You could.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on, and I think we've got to talk about a third season, I think it is, of Bungo Stray Dogs.
I haven't even caught the first one, and I feel terrible about that.
Yeah.
This one is like pretty highly acclaimed.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bungo Stray Dogs 3.
They haven't
Bones.
they haven't got the synopsis for the new series, so we'll just give you what the original series was about and where it's come from.
Yes, so while starving on a riverbank, Atsushi saves a rather eccentric man named Osamu Dazai from drowning. Whimsical suicide enthusiast and supernatural detective, Dazai has been investigating the same tiger that has been terrorizing the boy. Together with Dazai's partner Doppo Kunikida, they solve the mystery, but its resolution leaves Atsushi in a tight spot. As various odd events take place, Atsushi is coerced into joining their firm of supernatural investigators, taking on unusual cases the police cannot handle, alongside his numerous enigmatic co-workers.
Now, we've seen the first episode of this, and we went,
good.
I want to watch the rest of this and just not get around to it. It's a bit bonkers.
Yeah,
You've got a character who's trying to off himself every episode.
the main character's a suicide enthusiast, hunting a tiger.
That surely can't.
I can tell
feel
you
like
that
that's an
wouldn't.
oxymoron.
Well, yeah. Well, I can tell you that wouldn't be allowed to be broadcast in Australia or potentially on standard TV
But
in America.
it's on at Fridays at 10:30 at night.
Yeah, it's the perfect, hanging hour, I guess.
Oh, God,
Let's go with that. It's by Bones. It's rated R for violence and language, obviously. 23-minute runtime, likely 12 episodes, because the prior 2 seasons are 12 episodes. Now, we need to talk about the big one.
One Punch Man Season 2.
This scarcely needs an introduction, does it?
It doesn't. But if you don't know about One Punch Man, it's a gentleman named Saitama, and he's awesome, and he's gone bald.
And every day he does 100.
I think it's like 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups,
and
100 squats, and runs for 10 kilometers.
Yeah.
He's in a world with superheroes.
Something like that.
Very sort of similar to My Hero Academia, where heroes are, they're around, they do things.
But Saitama is
the strongest.
Overpowered.
He is literally the definition of how to use an OP character.
So much so that he will end a fight and nobody will notice it.
Much to his trepidation, because he is really freaking bored.
Yeah, and he can't join the superhero organization because they don't think he's actually solved any problems.
Yeah, they don't actually trust that he is as powerful as he is. So he's kind of,
Now, I'm under the impression season 2 actually has like a proper big villain towards the end of it that it all leads up to. And I believe the first, we haven't caught the first episode yet, but one of my friends was telling us about it, and he was saying that the first episode does a lot of groundwork establishing what's happening and where it's going to go to. I think it was our mate Pete, who's also a listener of the podcast, actually. So hi, Pete.
Hey, Pete.
Now, One Punch Man, if you haven't seen it, it is R-rated, surprisingly. It is by JC Staff. Was originally a web manga, which oddly, I didn't mention this in the news because we didn't have time, but oddly the web manga has just, after a 2-year hiatus, just started publishing some new chapters because it's moved from a web manga to somewhere else, and they've just started putting more stuff on there. We're just, all right. It's airing on Wednesdays at 1:35 in the morning, and it's action, sci-fi, comedy, parody, supernatural, powerful goodness.
Hooray.
And there's an OVA coming too, and hopefully we'll get hold of the OVA that they used to promote it for the obviously the premiere. But then of course we have to go.
We've got another epic one here.
To Wit Studios.
Attack on Titan, Season 3, Part 2.
Woohoo! Manchester 4, Leicester 0.
So this doesn't start airing till April 29th. Obviously, it was left at a bit of a cliffhanger. And this is a continuation of it, I believe.
Yes. So this is 10 episodes. They've been a bit weird. I'm getting... You know how they're doing very odd things with the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones episode lengths and all that? It seems a bit like that at the moment because they're getting very close to where the manga is. And if this ends where I'm expecting it to end... the season will be a cliffhanger of epic proportions. And not as in a, will people live or die? It's more of a, holy cow, that's the situation we're in. And it really takes it from like, their walled perspective to a global perspective.
That is awesome.
It is... I'm not going to lie. I haven't enjoyed the manga as much since that happened.
Okay.
Because obviously when you're within a small microcosm, it's a lot easier to accept things that are happening. But a lot of questions are going to get answered. A lot. Okay. And this is on Mondays, starting on the 29th of April, at 10 past 1 on Monday night, I would say that would be. 10 episodes, 23, 24 minutes, Wit Studios.
Check it out. It's very violent, so beware.
Now, we do need to talk about the continuing anime, which has still been going on this season, which is, it's fantastic. Dororo, still going strong. It's gone 24 episodes total, and we got to the 12th episode, and we thought, is this where they're going to end it? So it's a big, big confrontation. No. We're going to keep going off and do other things now too, and it's great. Like if you haven't caught Dororo, it is rated R because it's quite violent, but
it's an amazing story.
It is the benchmark, in my opinion, for last season. That is the benchmark you have to attain last season to be considered an alright anime that season.
If you've got mummy and daddy's permission to watch something this violent, you must catch this.
Oh, yeah. Party is over. And so is it for that kazoo. So, for those who don't know Dororo, it is by... it's a Tezuka, who we've mentioned before. The Tezuka... created this in like the 60s, I think it was, as a manga.
Very fun.
And his studio, along with Mappa Studios, have basically reimagined it in a 24-part series, and it's beautiful.
We've talked about it at length, and we will keep talking about it at length because, frankly, it just stands out.
It does. And from the R's to the PGs, but still equally controversial, Shield Hero.
Yes, we return to this. That is an apt way of putting it. This controversial little...
it's a gem.
Playground.
I mean, let's be honest. I love this manga, it was one of the ones which I found through recommendation in my manga app. And I was like, oh, fantastic. Okay, fair enough. Because I think I mentioned in episode 1 that I'd put off reading it. And then when I did, I couldn't stop. Mm-hmm. And it's very well written, but it has suffered from the controversy surrounding the way the character is portrayed and what happens in the first episode.
It's very, very polarizing kind of an anime, but...
So, can you read out the synopsis just to remind those who might not have seen it?
Of course.
Yeah.
So, thrust into the world of Melamark and given the title of Shield Hero, Otaku Naofumi Itawani is labelled the weakest due to his lack of offensive capabilities and apparent inexperience. Like all the other heroes get bows and swords and spears.
Get offensive
weapons. He's got a shield.
He gets a shield which he can't attack with. When the heroes part ways to start their journey, they all get their own sort of hero crews. He only gets one willing companion, the beautiful princess, Melamark. However, she soon betrays him, steals all his money, and accuses him of taking advantage of her.
Now, this caused a lot of problems in the States.
Really?
I believe the first episode was pulled at some point from one channel because of the content being discussed. Now, let's cover the difficult part of this first.
Everyone lies.
Everyone lies.
We know
it doesn't
that.
matter your gender. Everyone lies. You can't just say one gender lies.
For something about this, of course, it happens rarely, and when it does, it's disastrous.
This is something that has to be handled delicately and carefully, and perhaps the adaptation didn't do a good enough job of that. However, it is a minor part of a fantastic series, and I cannot recommend this enough.
We've mentioned before how this is like another isekai because it is like the new vogue lately. But this takes a very different look at it. It takes a look at a world and says, life isn't always fair. People aren't always what they seem to be. Not everyone has your best interests at heart. I think I've said these exact words before. Yeah. And that's what makes this world so unique and actually kind of compelling. It shows how the character has adapted to this new and unfair world.
But it's funny that shows like this get criticized quite openly when something like this happens, and then you see shows like Berserk, which are not designed for mainstream audiences, there's not a whisper. And I think that says a lot about what people were expecting from this anime without doing their research. And I love Shield Hero. I will quite happily say it's pretty much been, other than my neighbor is a cat, my roommate is a cat. This is...
I liked it too. There's no... I was expecting fan service. There's no fan service.
It's well developed.
Yeah.
It's well thought out, and the bad characters are getting close to getting their comeuppance.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I really can't wait for that because they just everything that's happened to him has just boiled my blood.
That's the thing. This series really plays with your expectations, and you know, the villains are remaining villainous, and you just want the worst to happen to them.
Yeah. I mean, like, especially in the last couple of episodes, there's been a lot of people have really shown their true colours, which has been, very, very clear as to what's going on. And other characters who previously had the wool pulled over their eyes are starting to, take off that hood and see what's going on.
Which is good.
Now, we will quickly cover off all what I'm referring to as the usual suspects that are ongoing series. Still going on is Black Clover, Fairy Tail's final series, Boruto, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Detective Conan, One Piece, and Zoid's Wild. Now, the only reason I'm mentioning this is that I grew up watching Zoid Zero / New Century, and it piqued my interest because I didn't even know it was still around. It's definitely aimed at children, not for adult audiences.
It's like Bakugan or Power Rangers. It's just these are series that refuse to die.
Like One Piece as well.
Yeah. And One Piece is still going as well. I forgot that. But we do need to quickly mention the baseball.
Yeah, there are 3.
There are 3 baseball animes. One's a sequel, and 2 others are technically originals.
Okay.
So Cinderella 9, based off a game where you play a character who goes and restores an all-girls women's baseball
So
team.
a league of their own.
Yeah, it's basically a league of their own.
Yeah.
And that's on Mondays at 1:30 in the morning, likely 12 episodes, TMS Entertainment. I'm going to be honest, it looks generic so generic. It's just they've replaced all the girls with guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, all the guys with girls. If they replaced all the girls with guys in a harem anime, that'd be hilarious.
It's your traditional sports kind of anime. If it's your thing, it's your thing.
Now, there is also...
Mix my Meisei story.
Now, this is another baseball show, but this is interesting.
The studio, OLM.
They make all the Pokemon series.
They also did Gunsmith Cats, Atom the Beginning, and Bang Dream.
They're also, and this is something I want to talk to you two about for next episode. And this is very important. Next episode, we are going to be talking about East versus West, and I'll go into that more. But OLM did an animated series based on a fairly popular Australian book series.
Wait, what?
Between 2007 and 2008.
Can you give us like a hint?
It's fantasy.
Wasn't Snugglepot and Cuddlepie?
There were 8 books.
Tomorrow When the War Began.
Written by Emily Roeder. Del Toro Quest.
No way.
There is a Del Toro Quest anime which runs for 65 episodes.
Wow.
Wicked. I remember seeing those books.
Yeah, it is another very odd transition of an anime coming from a Western product, just like with H.P. Lovecraft's mangas, which I suspect will get adapted into short form animes at some point.
Oh, yes,
which would be absolutely horrifying. So it is another baseball show, and it is actually a spiritual sequel, mixes, to an 80s baseball anime, Touch, which aired from 1985 to 1987 for 101 episodes. And what stands out about this one compared to the other two, which just feel like run-of-the-mill, is that this story takes place in the same high school as the series Touch took place, and they're trying to recreate that massive success the club had 26 years prior. And it focuses once again around brothers and baseball as the main theme. I think this actually could be good. Like out of the 3 baseball animes, that's the one I'd be interested in watching.
I'm happy to check them all out because maybe there's something about baseball that I don't understand because I've never watched the sport. I've never participated in it. I'm not generally into sports, so I'm open to
give it a look.
That said, we've seen a few sporting animes come our way which have really captured our attention.
Oh yeah.
Take Megalobox.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Granted, that had a very futuristic bent to it, but
there is a Netflix series coming. I can't remember the name, and it looks like a blatant rip-off of Megalobox, and it's full CG.
Okay.
So when that comes out, we'll have a look and see. But finally, there is Diamond No Ace 2. Comedy sports, school shonen by Madhouse, was a manga. It picks up the year after the end of the fall tournament in the previous series. It's going to run for 52 episodes because baseball.
Obviously, you can rely on it to make bank.
Well, I'm guessing you can, which is quite impressive.
Because baseball is huge in Japan. Has been since the late 1800s, in fact.
Really?
Wow.
It was introduced by a English professor in Tokyo.
Oh wow!
That is all the wrong people. It's an American sport.
Introduced to Japan by an Englishman.
Okay, England.
Moving right along. Well, either way, I think we've hammered on enough. We've definitely kept you listeners long enough because my lordy.
Thanks for chilling with us.
Let's get out of here.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Well, another season is upon us. Many more sleepless nights while we try and keep up to date to find out what's worth watching.
I am already exhausted.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have a special guest next episode if we can line him up.
Absolutely.
While we discuss the first time anime came to Western culture. Ooh. So we'll put more details on that once we know what's going on.
A journey to the west.
It's kind of like a journey to the east and the west, back and forth in this case.
I have no idea what you guys are referencing.
That is totally the point. This is cryptic and interesting. We will be back in 2 weeks' time, and by then, all of our previous stuff will be on YouTube. If you are listening to us for the first time on YouTube, welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will release podcasts every fortnight, and I'm sure we'll have something interesting for you to hear next week.
Come join us.
In the meantime, enjoy yourself. Watch some anime. Ciao.
Bye.
Adios.